All right, Jones, how are you going to find that statue in this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast?
Reflux capacitor, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, 1992. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I am your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Master Interrupter Powers.
Hey, I didn't interrupt you that time. I'm getting better. Anyway, you know what I thought was interesting? I think in order for people to hear this episode of the podcast, I think people actually had to point and click like this game we're about to review.
Oh, wow. That's very, very meta, Paul. Yes, I like it. Oh, yeah. Oh,
stay tuned for more semi-quasi, but not really meta.
Only high cultured humor in this podcast. Also, for this discussion of the game Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, we welcome back aboard Tactics Officer of the Pod, Quitos Ruiz. Hey, Quitos.
Hey, Francisco. Hey, Paul. Good to be back.
Hey, Quitos.
Glad
Game
to
correspondent.
have you back.
Welcome back.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed. Now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for this game?
Sure, why not? Let's go with Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. It was released June 1st, 1992, originally, and it runs 8 hours to beat it on average. I wonder... Anyway, we'll get to that later. It's rated E for everybody, and it was directed by Hal Barwood. It was also written by this Hal Barwood guy with his friend Noah Falstein, or Falstein, depends on if you're his neighbor or not. And you would know how to exactly...
It'd be Falstein, because the I is second to the E. That's how you can tell the difference.
Fine. These two jokers got together and designed the game and added some music composed by Clint Bajakian. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Sure, that too. Peter Connell and Michael Land. McConnell. That's what I said. Michael Land. John Williams' music was in here. I don't know why he wasn't giving credit.
Yeah, I don't know why either. That's interesting, because it was, but very sparingly. Just pretty much at the beginning and at the end.
All right. So you ready for the box office trivia game?
I am ready. Quitos, are you ready?
I am ready.
Fantastic. Right. And everyone here live, you can chime in too. Paul, take it away.
All right. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis was not released theatrically.
What?
How dare.
It was made for an undisclosed amount of money that cannot be substantiated since precise records cannot be kept or was not kept after Tannen shot a newspaper editor who printed an unfavorable story about him in 1884. However...
Isn't it 18... Oh, no, it would be 1884. I was going to say I thought it was 1885, but you're right.
Yeah, I know. But again, precise records, we're not really sure.
Yes.
However, this game right here sold millions of copies, won several awards, and was LucasArts' all-time most successful adventure title by the year 2009.
Really? Wow.
So I think it created a profit. Not sure.
Most likely. So are you playing a game or no?
Yes, but I was waiting for the sound effect.
Oh, of course.
All right. So in the year 1998, PC Gamer declared it to be one of the best computer games ever released.
Ooh.
Where did they place it in the top 50?
Top 50 of best computer games to ever be released. Okay.
Yes. And this is as of 1998. So anything after that wouldn't count.
What? They don't go back and just update it perpetually? Quitos, what's your guess in the top 50?
Pass. I want to think about it.
Okay. Oh my gosh, you can't pass. It's unprecedented. For me, I'm going to guess solid 10.
10?
In the top 50.
Okay.
Yeah, number 10.
Any from chat?
Any of you guys watching live, feel free to guess.
I'm going to do the old
50.
The old Price is Right. I'll go 9.
Fine. We got 16 from John. Okay, 16.
Do you want to give an honorary spot to Bobo?
Yeah, and we'll say Bobo picked 42 because he always does.
Okay. The answer is 41, so Baba
Oh,
wins.
wow. Nice.
Bob went with the clutch, even though he's not even here.
Yeah. Good
Well
job,
done,
Baba.
Well, thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld, which we don't have, or our subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target game.
Alert, alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Oh my gosh, I'm Indiana Jones, and I wonder what the fate of Atlantis. What is the fate of Atlantis?
I don't know, but this is my gold medallion.
Oh no, you've been possessed by Nuram Sal, or whatever the god's name is, Sophie.
Yeah.
We better go and try to find out what happened to Atlantis. Let's go.
All right. Oh no, it's sunk.
All right, and we don't have any memories of this. Probably just really sparks your imagination for this game. But unfortunately, there wasn't a trailer or a TV spot I could find. And none of us had ever played this game before. So you may be saying, well, Francisco and Paul, why are you covering this game then if you've never played it before? Well, as many of you know, we are working our way through the Indiana Jones films, all three of them. Count them, 1, 2, 3 of them. And we thought it'd be fun. We're also doing Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, reviewing those episodes. We thought, we should throw in the Indiana Jones game as well. So we looked at what there were and came up with Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. So that's why we're reviewing it, but we don't have memories, and I couldn't find a trailer. So we'll just have to go...
Even though it sold millions and won several awards.
There were lots of playthroughs. There were lots of awesome videos of it, but I could not find a TV
Must have been all
spot.
word of mouth marketing.
I guess, yeah, totally. Or ads in PC Gamer or other magazines. Yeah,
all print ads.
Mm-hmm. But regardless, we probably had some predictions for this game before we played it. So let's go through those. Kitos, what was your prediction for Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis before you played it? And also let's do your prediction and whether or not you ended up beating the game.
Okay. So my prediction was tragic. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yes, right out the gate.
Nice.
I thought it was going to be tragic. I was like,
okay.
Indiana Jones, I like Indiana Jones, but in game form, I don't know. We'll see.
That's fair.
And
how far did you beat the game? How far did you get into it?
I did not beat the game. I don't think I got that far. But
do you remember what the last sort of section you were at was?
Yeah, I was flying from Iceland to I can't remember the name, but you were talking
Monte
to two
Carlo?
different people about the Plato's book.
Exactly. Plato's Lost Dialogue. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. Paul, what was your prediction for this Indiana Jones game?
Well, I predicted classic. I was hoping this would be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, a little behind the scenes, we were trying to figure out what game to play, and
of the Indiana Jones games,
right? And when I was in high school, I was asking a friend who read a bunch of the Indiana Jones books, and he said, "What is your favorite? What's one is most like the movie?" And he said, "Indiana Jones: Fate of Atlantis."
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
I was like, "Okay, that sounds cool." But I never played the game or whatever, so I was looking forward to finding out what this was all about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And did I beat the game? No, I did not.
How far did you get?
I was going to take Sophie with me. But I didn't get that far.
All right, fair enough. We can talk about the different pathing in this, which sounds like neither of you experienced, but we might get there. But for me, my prediction of this game was nostalgic, and that's because for two reasons. I love Indiana Jones, and the stills of this I saw looked promising, but I was never a point-and-click adventure fan growing up. I didn't really get them. It just seemed like overly not complex necessarily, but just very, very tedious. So I was sort of hedging my bets with both of those. That it may be great, maybe not. So I said nostalgic.
Oh, and what platform did we all play this on?
Oh, that's a great. Yeah, I played it on I used the GOG.com download. So that's the Scum VM, which I can select lots of different versions. I think this ended up being the MS-DOS CD-ROM version because I had full audio, full voice acting, which the floppy disk did not have.
Right.
How about you, Paul?
I downloaded this from Steam and played it on the Windows 10.
Okay. And Kitos?
I actually got it free from Prime Gaming.
I was going to say it's free right now for this month.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I got that. They use their Amazon client. It's not very good, but hey, it's a free game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very cool. Awesome. Let's get into our discussion of what we liked most about Indiana Jones. I mean, maybe it's worth the price of free, or maybe it's not even worth that price. But let's talk about the reasons why it might be worth that price, or more, here with our like section. Alice?
Best 3.
All right, guys. 3 things we liked about this game. I was going to say film. Some of it did feel very, very much like a film. But let's start with Kitos. What's one thing you enjoyed about Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis?
Well, luckily I didn't play the floppy disk one like you were talking about, because I really liked their voiceover and the music. The tech that they did for 1992, that's actually really ahead of its time.
Yes. This seemed like this game, I was not expecting the level of polish with this game.
Yeah.
In terms of, the
voice acting.
The voice acting was just, when I was hearing like voices and like all the dialogue trees had voice and had inflection and,
right.
I mean, the only thing that it could have been better was if it was Harrison Ford doing the voice acting. That would have been amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
it was still good, though.
It cost too much. Yes, it was still good.
Yeah.
Paul, was the voice acting something that really whipped you into shape about this?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. But what I thought was unique about this that kind of surprised me is that you can actually play through the opening credits, which is something that you don't see in games. And I think a lot of games could benefit from that during the whole. Have the credits going along at the beginning as you're starting out and playing. And
you're sort of, it's almost like a mini tutorial what you're doing. Like you're clicking
it's getting used to the game. And
I thought it is a great opening for sure.
And I'm surprised, and this was like decades ago, and nobody's really, that hasn't really caught on, so I'm surprised.
I completely agree with you on that one, Paul. That's something that I thought was really cool. It actually didn't make my list, but thinking about it now, that's amazing. That's one of the
absolutely.
Yeah.
I do want to double back real quick to the voice thing, the voice acting. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy that. So I played this live on stream, as many of you here in watching live can attest. And some of the funniest moments were because it was voice acted. I could just troll different characters, and sometimes they would get annoyed, sometimes they wouldn't. But it's just funny that I would be inflecting sometimes when I'm reading the choices. I'd inflect it a little differently, like more like, oh my gosh, but they still like, oh, it's okay. Well, what's going on? How can I help you?
Yeah.
So that made it a lot more fun to have that for the voice acting. But let's go back to Kitos, though. What's something else you enjoyed?
Well, speaking of that, there was actually a lot of dialogue choices throughout talking with the different characters and everything. I was very surprised by how much you could actually talk to each character.
Yeah.
Though I will say, actually, you know what? Let me make that. Let me write down this other dislike.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
What was there? Someone you enjoyed? Let me expand on. I'm going to have you expand on that a bit, Kitos. Was there someone that you liked talking to the most, or was it just hearing Indiana talk with all ththese characters that you enjoyed? What aspect of that did you like the most?
I like talking to the guy on the theater stage.
Okay.
it was funny.
With the levers and stuff, yes.
It's like, give me something to read.
I did like that he didn't let you leave the stage once you gave him the newspaper. So you're not like... roaming the town for hours.
Yeah. I thought a lot of that dialogue was funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, what's something that you thought was either funny or really entertaining or otherwise awesome about this game?
I enjoyed the music. I thought the music was good quality for its time.
Yeah, it was definitely, you know what, it definitely evoked Indiana Jones. I can't,
Yes.
I
The
wonder if
whole tone I thought was very Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah. I would say that none of it like sticks in my mind instantly like a John Williams probably would. But I could totally see this being, if I played it multiple times, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember this tone, or because I was finding myself as I was playing through, oh yeah, okay, this is familiar. And,
it felt more like Indiana Jones than The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. Just in the tone, you know.
Might be tipping your hand a little bit there, Paul, but all right.
I'm just saying, as a series so far that we've covered.
All right, fair enough.
Sorry. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't heard any of our previous episodes.
So, Kitos, you spoke to the different dialogue trees and whatnot, and how much of variety there were. I really appreciated the variety in that you could actually, and it sounds like neither of you guys got to this, but you could actually, in the middle of the game, I forget what point it is. Where is it? I think it's after. What?
Is it the middle?
I'm trying to remember which actual scene it was, Paul.
Oh, okay.
There's you find an artifact back at Indy's College, wherever that is, and you can choose to either take Sophie with you, to go alone, or to go. They're called three different paths. The path of I think the friendship path or something like that, where you go with Sophie.
I chose the path of righteousness.
Okay, that's great, Paul. And then there's the wits path, which you go by yourself, but you experience a lot of puzzles. That's the path I ultimately went on, not really realizing that's what I was doing, but that's the path I went on. And then there's the fists path, which you actually do a lot of fighting.
The way of the fist,
really?
Which is a lot of button mashing for this point and click game.
There is still some fighting when in the path I took, but not nearly as much apparently as the fists path. But I thought that was just really cool. They all converge toward the end. So you sort of, at the end, you'll end up with Sophie for the one of them, but the other two, I guess you won't. But I really thought that was cool how they could tell that. It just adds to the replayability of this game, because there were certain sections, like there was this one island when you're getting really close to Atlantis, but you
Is
eventually
that the Monkey Island? No, wait, that's another LucasArts game.
Yes, exactly. There's one island where you end up on it and you can't get off of it. I ended up having to get a hot air balloon, like make a hot air balloon out of
so you
lots
can
of
get
things.
off of it.
Yes, and then you go land on a U-boat. It's quite the adventure. But
why do they call them U-boats? None of them look like U's.
In that, I don't know. That's the Germans. In that island, there's this mountain range where it's like a vista, and you can go to 3 different places. And I went to 2 of them, like, there's nothing here. I'm like, oh, then why do you even have this here? But then it dawned on me later that, these other two are for if you took that path with the different paths. So
can the paths cross paths later?
Kind of, yes. And there's also different endings based on what actions you take toward the end and which paths. Spoilers, you can, Sophie ends up captured, and you can decide to release her and take her with you, or to just go it alone to the end. So
that doesn't sound very Indiana Jones-like.
Well, except it does exactly using Raiders.
Okay, well, maybe.
Dale wants to know if you can make it Sophie's choice.
Sure, Dale. We can do that. Yeah, exactly. No, it's not Sophie's choice. But those are the things we like the most, guys. Now let's get to our classic makers, the things we loved most about Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. I'm going to start with you, Paul.
What you guys said before was the voice acting.
Okay.
I really enjoyed, and there were moments where to me it sounded like Harrison Ford, or at least close enough, where it's like, Harrison could have been, or it sounds very close to it. Yeah. But the quality, I wasn't expecting that, especially for a point and click game back in the day. And now I realized this was released a year later after the floppies. They had the voices added to it, but I think it really enhanced the game.
Yes, absolutely. And I gotta think that back then, 92, the SNES had just come out. I can't imagine there's a lot of games that have full voice acting in them at that time.
Yeah, definitely not.
Awesome. So the voice acting. Kitos, what did you love most about this game?
So before I get to what I loved most, I did have one more right?
Oh, okay. Go for it.
That's just, it was actually really cool. You mentioned this a little bit, how I guess you could get different things and your path would change based on certain choices. Yeah. Yes. There was a lot of just I could tell a lot of just hidden things around or different ways you could get through places. Like in the beginning, I actually got into the theater by going around the back area instead of the back door. Yes. I don't know if you guys...
Oh
no!
And up a ladder.
Yeah. I went up that way. Yeah, I just
what?
I did too.
Yeah, I skipped the back door completely.
Well, not all of us can talk the bouncer into letting us in like you could, Paul.
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't even know there was.
I had to fight the bouncer, and I went in.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a bouncer. I skipped the back door. I was like, it's probably locked, and I continued on my way.
Yeah, he said it was locked. Yeah.
Oh wow,
that's
nice. Good for you. But yeah, there's a lot of choices.
Yeah,
that's really awesome.
So
I
just wanted to make sure to mention that because that was really cool. I can't believe this game came out in '92. I mean, I barely find
remarkable.
games that have this kind of stuff. So, but
absolutely,
my classic maker, truly though, about this game is that it's really funny. But it's the Indiana Jones kind of funny, where it's like,
yes.
Oh yeah,
it's not just
has the humor.
It's really hard for me to describe, but it's the same humor as Indiana Jones, but it's not overly obnoxious or anything like that. It's just funny, and it feels like Indiana Jones. Yeah,
it's like puns, mocking what people are saying, like they're being ridiculous, like they're being serious, but you're making fun of what they say, stuff like that. Yeah. It totally captures that, like you were saying with the music, Paul, the tone of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the classic for me on this one. It felt like Indiana Jones.
Awesome. Yeah. For me, I don't know if you could say that.
No, I couldn't.
My classic maker.
That wasn't my classic maker. Go ahead. It's your turn.
Is part and parcel with the tone of Indiana Jones? Maybe, kind of, sort of. So mine was the pixel art of the backgrounds in particular. The characters were done well too, but the backgrounds were really beautiful. I was amazed at how expansive some of them looked, how large they were. Like, just it's sometimes tricky for me to do 100 by 100 pixel art, but some of these are like so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I felt like they overused dithering a lot of the time. And for those that don't know, dithering is when if you look at a gradient from like blue to red, as it goes
boring
from one side to the other, it sort of goes to purple sort of in the middle, and you get this effect that there's a purple shade in the middle of that when it goes from one color to the other. So to get that effect in pixel art, when you don't have that many colors to work with, you'll actually do, let's say, the red on the left side, and then you'll start filling in as you get closer to the middle more and more of that red with blue pixels.
Yeah, they were limited to 256 color palette on this.
So you achieve more perception of color through this technique called dithering.
Right.
So that's what but regardless, and I'm not a fan of when that's overused. I like a more I guess you could say flat or more angular pixel art style, but it is still the remarkable
cleaner.
Yeah, cleaner. Precisely, Paul.
Yeah.
I was still impressed with the level of detail they put in, and it was just so many different places to explore. I guess in that way it was like the tone of Indiana Jones, where you just kept going to a new place and a new place and a new place. It was really remarkable in that way. Yeah. So that was my classic maker.
That's a good point. Like I didn't really notice the backgrounds, but that's a good thing, if that makes sense. Like it didn't, it didn't take me out of the game at all.
Yeah. Though that is a problem at one point, which you guys didn't get to, but I'll speak to here a little bit later. Oh, but sorry, guys. There's one more thing I liked.
Oh, another thing. Okay.
I know. Yeah. Surprise. Shocker. Right. The Untold Podcast.
What?
The Untold Podcast is a speculative fiction podcast utilizing the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out The Untold Podcast at www.untoldpodcast.com to listen and leave them a review on Apple Podcasts.
That's great, Francisco, but you've told us this in previous episodes. What does this have to do with Indiana Jones and the fate of Atlantis?
Well, Indiana Jones on the whole, and I think it sort of
he's on a whole?
On the whole, in totality.
Oh, in totality.
Oh my gosh. Is a mix of fantasy and horror, and unfortunately sometimes sci-fi, though I think that is just a fever dream. So in that way, the Untold Podcast is similar because they have those elements of genre fiction encompassed in their podcast.
Fever dreams? Okay.
Oh my gosh. No. You know what I mean, Paul. Don't presume you don't know what I mean, because I know you know what I mean.
Oh, I know what you mean. You want to put this fake promo in just so we can transition to trivia. Okay.
Oh, well, here's some trivia then.
Yes.
Did you all realize that the Fate of Atlantis comic book series with 4 issues was published by Dark Horse in 1991. It was based on the story by Hal Bearwood and Noah Falstein.
So you had trouble too.
Well, I corrected, but only loosely followed the game's storyline. So my question to you guys is, what video game would you love to read a graphic novel version of?
Oh, boy.
So I'll start with Kitos. What game? It can be from any era. It could be nowadays or a retro game. Mm-hmm. But would you love to read a graphic novel of that game?
That's easy. Mega Man X.
Ooh, nice. Do you think it'd be more compelling than the cartoon anime?
Yeah. I definitely think so, because usually they can go into more detail with the graphic novel.
That's true. Good point.
Since point. People are so crazy about Final Fantasy VII, I don't want to spend the hours playing it, but I would like to know the story, so I'll read the graphic novel.
All right, that works.
Hopefully it has good art, not like the blocky original released style, but like the updated anime manga style.
Okay, I can get behind that. For me, it's actually Castlevania 2. You didn't ask, but I presumed you wanted to know.
Simon's Quest?
Why wouldn't you? Yes, Simon's Quest. So there's actually a novelization of that book that I read as a kid, and I thought it was a great novelization.
Oh, so you want to see pictures with that?
I'd like to see that
graphic.
That game turned into a book, turned into a graphic novel. I think that would be really, really awesome. So,
great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
And I have the answer to our previous audience question, which again was, if you could go back in time, what artifact, painting, relic, etc. would you like to take, would you want to take? Let's say you can pay for it, though, just so you don't have to steal it. So what would you take?
You have qualms about that.
Yeah. So go back in the past, what would you take? Mm-hmm. So we didn't get any answers this time. So Kitos, we're sending it to you. What artifact would you take or buy from the past?
That is a good question.
Well, while you're thinking of it, apparently Dale would take Spy Hunter or Operation Wolf. I like the arcade cabinets or something else, Dale.
How about the Holy Grail?
Those are the ones. Sorry, no, those are probably the ones he'd want a graphic novel of.
Yeah, graphic novel.
That's what he's answering. Yeah. Sorry.
How about the Ark of the Covenant? You can't touch it though.
Oh wow!
If you have poles, maybe you could.
Yeah,
and someone to help you.
Put it on the cart.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how big of a
you go to grab it?
How big of a relic can it be?
Let's say you have
as
the
big as the
means to move
Titanic.
any size relic you can.
I'm going to bring the whole continent of Europe.
That's not a relic. That's geography.
I'll take the whole library of Alexandria.
There you go.
There you go. Nice.
Is that the one that burned down? And we lost
Yeah.
so much knowledge through that.
Yeah, we lost the map to Atlantis. It
Yeah,
sucks.
exactly.
Yeah.
And steam power in the classical era.
Oh, is that how you? Is that the where the timeline diverged? Like if we had kept the Library of Alexandria, we'd be in steam power and steampunk these days.
I don't know.
At least pass through that.
It was
No,
I forget.
That would have been much earlier, and we would be far advanced beyond
I said
that.
we would have passed through it.
Okay.
What were you gonna say, Paul? Ketos.
I was going to say we're going to pass through the steam like a mist.
Yeah, I don't know. The guy who invented it, I think he just used it as a party trick when he figured it out, like just to like open doors and stuff with it, and thought it was cool. But it didn't really amount to anything during his time.
Yeah, you need to apply it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. So, great trivia. Now here's this episode's listener question. What video game would you like to read a graphic novel of?
Indeed. And we had some answers here in our live chat, but you can send, if you want us to like see who gets whose answer we get to read on the next episode, send your answers to trivia@retrorewindpodcast.com by the time we record the next episode, which gives you usually a week and a couple days. But now that we have all had some trivial, fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Indiana Jones and the fate of Atlantis. Kevin Joshua Burnham says, I remembered watching Francisco playing this and seeing a great community of people helping him solve the tediously difficult puzzles. I may have helped by providing the Womp train.
Yeah, womp womp. Dallas Panda Marshall Mora says, I remember watching Francisco play it.
Well, that's good, Dallas. David Gardner says, I played this as a bonus to another Indiana Jones game, Staff of Kings. Enjoyed it, but you can tell it's part of their earlier interfaces.
Yeah, point and click. Mm-hmm. And Drew Doggin posted a clip of Sorry, Dodgin. Sorry, Drew. He posted a clip of Francisco dying in the game. He got beat up by what he didn't know to be as a professional fighter.
Never mind. Let's go back to Doggin. How dare you post that? Oh, goodness gracious. Well, me dying.
Hey, Francisco, when you died, did you sound like this?
If only I could sound like that at the drop of a hat, my life would be complete. But Drew's comments lead us pretty much right into the things we didn't like about the game that we wish would have died in it. So let's get to our worst three things. And let's start with Paul this time. What's something you didn't like about this game?
Oh, I was so frustrating that there were these cut scenes that you couldn't skip through. Like, especially during the opening credit scenes. You couldn't skip through. You just had to look at the credits for like 20 seconds each before you could continue playing. And then as these other scenes were going, like, yeah, I get it. I'm pushing all these buttons to like get through. It's like, no, you had to sit there and watch it play out. It's so annoying.
You know, you could skip that whole intro sequence just by pressing escape, right?
No. Did they give you that instruction? No.
I figured it out. That's
games.
Good.
Well, I don't know. Most games I don't play on the PC, so.
Francisco, I don't waste my time playing games, okay? So, good, it's so good that you know that, Francisco.
Thank you for backing me up.
Oh, my goodness.
But I found it frustrating that you couldn't skip through different parts.
Yeah. Did you think it was a little too slapsticky at the beginning with him like falling down and
I was like he'd be dead by the time he got to the third floor. It's like so it sets you up for the tone of the what to expect.
Especially with that bookcase. When that fell on him, I'm like, did I mess up? Is it game over?
Yeah, I thought I died too. Yeah.
There are several parts in this where I'm like, I guess I'm done. I can't go any further, right? I'm stuck. But no. Let's see, Kitos, what was something you did not like? Was it that bookcase falling or something else?
No, that I was just not sure what was happening, if I lost or not.
Okay.
For me, I would say one of my dislikes was that sometimes the pacing was just a little off. And
A little?
Yeah, maybe that's a bit of an understatement, but there's definitely times where like you're talking to characters and sometimes it's fine. And sometimes it's just you're talking, it's like you're making small talk. It's like, okay, this doesn't really progress the game. It doesn't get me close to the characters or anything. It's literally
not memorable. It's not funny.
Yeah, it's kind of just there. I'm like, okay. And sometimes I maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems like I had to go through those options sometimes when talking with characters, which maybe isn't the case, but it seemed like
I felt that as well. Yeah, you had to run through the whole list of gamut in order to move forward. Sometimes
yeah. So sometimes I just thought the pacing was off.
That's totally fair. And you know what, that sort of goes into something I didn't like, Kitos, which is, and you experience this really a lot at the end, but there's some puzzles where. So I have two dislikes regarding puzzles, but the first one is...
Says the guy who picked the puzzle option. Who didn't know he picked the puzzle option, but okay.
Exactly. Apparently I didn't have my wits about me. There's puzzles at the end, again, spoilers, to beat the game correctly, like get the good ending, you have to go through a massive text tree in just the right order and repeat certain text choices a certain number of times.
Yeah.
Like you'll get the same options and then you just have to do it a certain number of times and then it'll open up the next few. It's like, how is anyone supposed to figure that out?
Yeah.
It's just so redonkulous.
Yeah.
So that's something I really did not like about this game.
Yeah.
Because then it's not really testing your gaming acumen. It's just testing your patience and how much you can or can't rage. So let's go back to Kitos. What made you rage about this game?
Sometimes just really not knowing how to progress, which is part of the gameplay. I get that. But sometimes it's like it seems kind of unintuitive. Like in the very beginning, one of the first things that I got stuck on was you had to click the cat statue totem thing.
Oh yeah.
And if you click the wrong one, it doesn't do anything. He literally says, "Oh, looks like a cat," right? And you could literally sit there clicking everything else, being like, "Well, I don't. Where am I? What am I missing here?" Right? Until you finally click on the right cat, and then you fall back. So that one was like, that wasn't a good start to the game. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh. And there's some parts where it's like you have to get the exact right pixel. Like there's one pixel that you click,
like
and all
that
the other
stupid
ones right around it.
button on the stage. I was there for 15 minutes, not even realizing there was a button.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because it's so small, and because I was hiding, my character was hiding it half the time, and the other part is because it's just a single pixel.
Yeah.
It's a dislike, but I understand it. It's still a dislike, though.
Yeah. Like, if it was more obvious, this game would be too easy almost.
Yeah.
But at the same token, it's like...
But you know what? It's
annoying.
different. It's not as intuitive. When you play Mega Man, for example, and there's like a puzzle of like disappearing blocks, you understand that you have to get to the other side and jump on the blocks in the right order. This is like, you have no clue what to do.
Yeah. Like, what am I even looking for? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
you get the real indie experience. It's just lost.
I guess I'll just roll that right into my next dislike, which is several of the puzzles were overly hard. At least for someone, I mean, I'm not used to click and point adventures. This is my first real one that I've ever done. So maybe if someone is like just very much aware of what point and click adventures entail, they know exactly what to look for, like what sort of visual cues to dial into to be like, okay, this is where I would I need to be looking for it over here. But for someone who's new to it,
I've played other ones. Of course, they came out a little bit later, and they weren't this hard. It was a little more easy to understand and what to find. This was kind of like a combo between a point and click and one of those old text adventure games where you could do anything, like use door, nope, open door, nope, try. There's 26 different commands to try to figure out during these text games, and this is just like that.
Yes. In addition to that, there are also times where you had to combine items in your little inventory thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had no idea, like, I was supposed to combine a certain item. And then there's this, one of the dumbest puzzles was you're in Monte Carlo and you have to crash into this Nazi car that took a doctor. I know this is past where you guys got, but you get into a car and then you're supposed to move around and crash into this other car, which never seems to work until finally it does. And then you find out the doctor threw out this stone you need to get at one of the streets. He gives you the street signs and you have to go to every corner on this fairly large map of Monte Carlo. And you go from a big view to the normal, like you see India on the screen view. And you click on the street sign. Is this street and this street? Okay, that's not. And then go to the next one. This street and this street. Oh, that's not. And you just keep going and going and going. And you have to go through so many. Turns out mine was right next to where the car crashed. I went way far away from where the car crashed. So I should have started at the source and worked my way out instead of going out and working my way in.
Maybe you had to check that anyway, twice anyway. It's one of those kind of games.
There are puzzles like that. In the walkthrough, it said it's random. So you just have to, good luck.
Oh.
And there are puzzles like that where it's just random each time.
And while playing this, it reminded me, because I was frustrated by this, like, I like looking for hidden objects in a Zelda game where I have to blow up like walls and things like that. This game does it all wrong. I don't know what it is, but I don't like looking for objects in this game where I do in other games.
Yeah. There aren't really great visual cues of what's a hidden thing.
Yeah.
Or even know what to look for sometimes.
That actually leads into my third dislike.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, some of the things just blended into the background so well.
As in this is your tragic maker?
No, this is just a third dislike.
This is a bonus.
Bonus dislike, yeah. Yeah, no, some things would just blend in, and like the red button on the stage, right? That was one. Yeah. Like I just thought it was part of the background. So
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Well, Paul,
speaking of buttons,
one more thing that you didn't like. Yeah, what pushed your buttons?
Here's the thing. I started playing this game and I was like, okay, I have an hour before dinner, so I'll play this game for an hour when I first started. This was a while ago.
Yeah.
Give me some time and I'll just get it going.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about the escape button. I tried every other button. But about 10 minutes before I'm about to, I go for dinner, I'm like, okay, I haven't reached a save point, and I don't know where to save, and I'm pressing all these buttons.
It's like F5 or F4 or something like that.
Well, I tried some of the Fs, like F12 or whatever, but, because that's often a save thing, and I was like, and I couldn't find one.
Oh, no.
And I was like, there's no easy save option for this, and this is ridiculous. I went through all this, like an hour's work, and now I have to turn it off, and I have to start all over, like that.
Oh god!
So they need better instructions for. I understand it's point and click, but you need a point and click a save option.
Right? Like, where's a menu button in this inventory or something?
Right? Yeah. I can see his inventory. Why can't? Where's the save option? Where's the? Yeah.
I don't honestly know if there was a save option in this because.
So you had to play it straight through for like.
I guess I don't know because that doesn't make sense since it's an 8-hour game. But I know for mine it is sort of the wrapper program Scum VM, which you play a lot of older games through. That's what was facilitating the saves. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, through Steam there wasn't.
Oh man. So how did you never end up being able to figure out how to save it?
No.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I had a similar problem to Paul. Eventually I figured out the F5 button because
nice.
Just like the game where I click everything, I ended up just pressing every key on my keyboard.
There you
to
go.
figure out.
If I pressed F5, it would have been by accident because that's right in the middle of those things.
I know, yeah. No, I pressed F1 through 4 and F12 through 9, and then 8, and then 7, and then 6. I'm like, this isn't gonna work. And I just hit
F1
F5
through 4 doesn't do anything. Why would F5 do anything?
I know, yeah.
So I'm booting up the game just as we speak because I'm curious. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
No.
I'm curious if I can press escape. So I'm going to see here in a second after it gets past LucasArts. Okay, so we're at the Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I press escape. It took away the title. Press escape again. Yeah, I just keep pressing escape, and now I'm at the street where I go to Sophie.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you just keep pressing escape, and it goes away.
So, yeah. All right.
And
so
then,
that's just not only is the game itself frustrating, but the objects to play. This is supposed to be a simple point and click game, and they're just making it even more frustratingly hard.
That was the other thing.
If you're playing the Scum VM version, F5 is the menu to get to saving and whatnot.
It was the same on the Amazon one. F5 brought up that save, load, quit, all that stuff. Yeah, the first time I didn't know what to do, so I literally end task. I did, Control Alt Delete end task to stop the game.
Wow.
And then I came back and it's like nothing saved. I'm like, oh great.
That's another thing. Here's a bonus thing. All right, now I know Crimea River. Now this is gonna date me in the future, but don't be envious. I'm not trying to say this to toot my own horn, but I have a 4K monitor that I play this on. But there is a limited window size, at least for the Steam version. I cannot expand it. I cannot so you're stuck with, I don't know if it's 640, but that's even like a lot smaller. So in the future, as we get like 8K monitors and bigger monitors, that thing's going to become a tiny little thing. I don't know why they don't have expandable windows. It just makes the game even all that much harder to
no kidding.
So I couldn't see the little red pixel for the button, or
Golly sakes! I was able to play full screen, like it just expanded everything or stretched everything or what have you,
to full screen.
To full screen, though I couldn't have it be full screen on my second monitor, which is usually where I have the games running when I'm streaming. So that was annoying. I had to switch things, but oh man, that is annoying. But you know what? Let's talk about what's the most annoying about this game.
Because we haven't even got to that part.
We haven't. We haven't gotten to our Tragic Makers. The worst parts about Indiana Jones and the fate of Atlantis. Yeah, we'll go with that. And all start. There are so many places in this game. Oh my gosh.
How many? So many can't even count.
So many I can't count. Where it's the perfect place to use your whip. It makes all the sense in the world to use your whip. You're Indiana Jones. You use your whip. No, I don't think that will work. The drum beat of this game is, I don't think that will work.
I don't think that'll work. Doesn't seem to close. That doesn't work. I can't move it. I don't think that'll work.
Shut up, Indy. It will work if you just give it a shot.
Yeah.
So annoying. Yes, exactly. It was just so frustrating.
That would make the game too easy. Try another way.
I guess so. Yeah, might as well just be honest and say that. But hearing that over and over again was quite annoying when it seemed very... I mean, and there were... As you got further in the game, there are more opportunities to use your whip, but it wasn't. I mean, by that time, I'm like, well, obviously you don't want me to use my whip. So what am I supposed to do? Oh, use your whip. Oh, now I'm supposed to use my whip. Thanks for letting me know now when because I used a walkthrough for a lot of this game. Otherwise, I just would have never finished it.
You mean you didn't finish it within the 8 hours?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
It's certainly taken a lot less longer than Earthbound, but that's neither here nor there. Kitos, what's your Tragic Maker for this game?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are pretty much pressing up right against it. That's the fact that there's no modern options for this. You start the game, it literally starts the game. There's no menu, there's no anything, and honestly, those I guess creature comforts have taken over for me. I
was
really
20
like
years ago.
Yeah.
Wait,
no,
Keithos,
even NES games had like a press start to start the game,
right?
Yes.
Some sort of menu that you could easily call up.
This game just started, and I didn't know if it was started or not. So like the first time I played, I accidentally hit escape, and I didn't know what I missed, and so I was really like, oh no, what's happening?
I wish I did that.
Yeah, so it's just none of the modern comforts of gaming nowadays, and it also messed up my monitor because it tried to resize everything, to full screen it, but it couldn't do it correctly, so it was just very weird. And then if I tried to, exit the game, it would take forever for my screen to fix itself.
No.
So it was
free game.
It was very painful to play it.
So
that.
If I don't know how you're gonna,
I didn't have
you guys
that problem,
are.
but
I don't know.
I
how
had
you
other problems.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You didn't know what?
By the way, exclamation point interrupt in chat if you'd like to see a cool command. I didn't see. I totally lost my train of thought. Darn it!
It's all right.
Or was I going with that? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, that was. Wait, was that your tragedy maker?
Where were you?
Or Paul's? I'm
that,
lost now. I think
that was mine.
That was yours.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's go to Paul's now. What's the thing you hate most about Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis? That's
all right. My
tragic maker.
Tragic maker. It's just that it's so slow and boring. Oh my
word.
Gosh. So, all right, I played for the first hour.
It does pick up as you get more
it doesn't
into it.
matter.
It gets a lot more adventurous,
So
I will say
I
that.
only got to the point where he's talking to a girl and she's talking about this necklace and this like ghost comes out.
Yes.
And it took me an hour to get there. It was like 20 minutes talking to a guy outside, 30 minutes trying to figure out what's on stage. That kind of, I'm surprised I even got into the theater. So that was the first hour without even me saving it. I tried to do it again and I couldn't get past the title screen segment. I was like, I just can't sit through this again. So this is not worth my time. It is so slow and boring that it's just, I've played other click games and this was, oh man. Go ahead.
Not nearly as good as I remember what I was going to say. You were talking about creature comforts, Ketos.
Yeah.
And there is someone who's working on a high def version of this game.
Oh,
when
really?
I was looking on YouTube for all the trailers or TV spots that weren't there, I came across this one. So if you did like Indiana Jones, Fate of Atlantis, I think HD remake or something like that. I think it's just some guy who's working on a beta version. I clicked the play button to see what it sort of looked like, and it was looking nice, but I don't like how they're animating the characters.
Oh no,
it looks very stiff.
Because I was impressed with the motion, because especially for 1992, the click games, the characters usually only moved like in 8 directions. And this was very fluid and the characters could move like almost all
ways.
Around. And this was very advanced for that time of the click adventure games. It would just like, okay, the character would move across the screen, a little bit up, a little bit down. That was it. This has very fluid motion.
Yeah.
So if they're going to remake it, that's an important thing to capture.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it wasn't like they couldn't go anywhere, but the way they're moving, going there, is just like looks
wonky.
Yeah, wonky. Like someone who's maybe good at programming and putting stuff into Unreal Engine or whatever, but isn't great at animation basics.
Yeah.
But
those are two different advanced skills.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, now that we've entered all our trajectories into the firing computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Mark again?
Do we rate Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis? You're not going to break me, Paul. You're not going to do it.
Well, what is the fate of it? Oh, we'll find out.
Yes, we will. a classic. We'd recommend anyone go and play this game. It's definitely worth the purchase of, like, I think I got for $6 on GOG or free on Amazon Prime Gaming right now. Is it a classic? It's worth your time to get today, whether or not you've played it before. A nostalgic, if you remember playing it as a kid or young adult or whatever age you were when this came out in 1992. If you remember it fondly then, yeah, it's probably worth a replay now. Dust it off, or get a version again. Yeah, exactly. But if you've never played it before, move on to another Indiana Jones game, perhaps. Or do we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time today. If you have never played it before, keep it that way. And if you have played it before and have fond memories, don't sully those fond memories with a replay. So let's start with our guest, as we like to. Kitos, Tactics Officer Games Correspondent Ruiz, what is your rating for Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis?
My rate...
You predicted tragic.
Yeah.
So what's your final rating?
I predicted tragic, right? My final rating is that it's actually nostalgic.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
And
So moved up.
that was, it did move up, but it was a tough one because there were so many times I wanted to consider it classic, but at the same time, the things that made it tragic were just, they stood out way too much, especially when it came to not having modern options or anything like that.
Sure.
An HD remake would definitely make this a classic.
Oh, okay.
I would say that.
Interesting, yeah.
But
Very cool.
as it is now, I mean, it's great if you can get it free from Prime Gaming or however you got it, right? But it's definitely, I would rate it nostalgic. If you've played it before, a long time ago, it'd be cool to check out again. But if it's new to you, you probably should stay away unless they come out with a remake.
Okay. Sounds good. Paul, what is your final rating? You had predicted classic.
Yeah.
What did it end up being?
So I completely agree with Keithos. If you enjoyed playing this before, you will you should be able to enjoy playing it again, despite some of the limitations that we had with like screen changes and stuff like that. You should be able to. And it has that Indiana Jones feel. But for me personally, this is the worst game that we've ever reviewed. Far worse than, what did I say?
What?
Final Fantasy VII. I was one of those weirdos. So this is definitely a tragic. Like,
no.
I don't want to spend 3 seconds playing this game again.
Hold on. You cannot put this below Super Star Wars. You just cannot.
Oh, Super Star Wars, I see a goal. No matter how hard it is, I know what it takes to get there. This, you're on your own. Forget it.
I don't care if the art makes you think I'm going to be able to stand. Oh, no, I'll fall. All right, fine.
Yeah.
No, but
yeah, no, as many as problematic as some of those other games, I understood.
Oh my gosh.
Even I understand this. This is just way too complicated for me.
So... Wait, so I got lost in your diatribe. Did you say
it's tragic?
Tragic.
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
Wow.
I went from predicting a classic. I had high hopes, and maybe that just made the tragic even more tragic.
I guess so. For me, I actually so much of this game. So I had rated and predicted nostalgic. So much of this game though captured the essence of Indiana Jones. Something I like after playing this, I'm like, I would love to see a movie of this. Even the way they ended it, one of the bad endings was just such a nice homage to Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was like, oh my gosh, it's like these people really care about Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the struggle playing through like you did, Paul. I did have some struggles and I did need to walk through, but experiencing the story and all that was very enjoyable for me. So I'd be interested in playing the other paths. So for me, it was a classic.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
So you'd rather spend 20 minutes talking to a doorman. I'm sorry, I have better things to do with my life. But okay, that's fair. That's fair. So are we at a draw?
Don't judge how I use my time.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't mean to interrupt and talk over you. You can go ahead,
fine.
expand if you want.
So no, I'm done. Yeah, exactly, Paul. We are at a draw, which means we're gonna have to go to our Rewind Republic.
All right, Rewind Republic. Cat Mario is better. Come on.
No, don't you dare.
Yes, it is.
So we're going to go to our Rewind Republic, which are our reflex capacitors that support the show at the $5 or higher level, and they'll get to vote on whether they think this is a classic, nostalgic, or tragic, and that'll be the tiebreaker based on their average of votes. So Francisco from the future, what did they end up rating Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis? Thank you, Francisco from the past. So according to our Rewind Republic, if we average together their votes, then they voted Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, a nostalgic video game. So according to the Retro Rewind podcast and our Rewind Republic, we rate Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis a nostalgic game. Whether or not if you've played this game before, it's worth your time to pick it up again, relive those fun memories. But if you've never played it before, then probably worth skipping this one and going and playing that other Indiana Jones game. Regardless, back to Francisco and crew from the past.
Are you kidding me?
You.
Wow.
Okay, they ended up, Paul. You don't have to be so frustrated by it. They
just enjoyed watching you die.
I mean, yeah, that probably had something to do with it, but you never know. You never know. But okay, so that was the final rain. Thank you, Francisco from the future, and our reflex capacitor rewind Republic. All right, but now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1992 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflex capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keating, Patrick Hicks, LG Lowry, Chris Cohen, Chris Owens, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of Telcast, Ashley Crumbitter, Pastor Justin, Kenneth and Redeemed Otaku, Ryan Lingle, That's Our Babos, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff Leronin, The Dapper Man Reviews, Tony from the Retro Days, and newest patron, Mr. Loss, in addition to 8 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying for as little as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to RetroRewindPodcast.com/support. Wow. That was...
I was about to say, you're still singing. That's pretty good.
And there at RetroRewindPodcast.com/support, you can help us grow via Patreon, Subscribestar, or PayPal. And you could probably get me to not ever sing like that again, because I'm sure that was painful for many of you. Go ahead, Paul.
All right, take it away, Dallas.
This stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And while we're... That's what I do, apparently. And while we're thanking our supporters, we also want to give a big adventurous hug to Kitos Ruiz for sticking with this game and supporting us with his thoughts about this game tonight. Kitos, where can people find you online? And is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
So people can find me online on my Twitter. It's at CoolDeluxe. That's QOOLDELUXX. Like 20XX. I also started up a tech support business. So
if you get stuck on your way to Atlantis, you can call you up and say,
hey, click the red button in the bottom left corner. Yeah, you can find me at let's see, TEQSUPPORT.
So like tech with a Q support.
Yeah, tech support with a Q. .online. So that's
.online.
Yeah. So that's again TEQSUPPORT .online. ONLINE.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kitos, for being a part of this show. And a hearty thank you to those of you listening for the first time. And of course, to all of you who are part of our Rad Rewinder community. You all who watch us live every week, whether we're recording this podcast or playing retro games, are an amazing group of people sustain the pod. Also, we just started. This is a new thing. If you go to twitch.tv/RetroRewindPod or youtube.com/RetroRewindPod right now, right this second, right now.
While we're recording this right now?
Unless this is years in the future, maybe not. Maybe if you're listening to this in like 20XX, this may not be the case. Yeah. But at least right now, if you go to those our sites, you can find us streaming replays of the podcast live. Just if you're like, you know what, I'd like to listen to Retro Rewind Pod, but I don't know, I don't want to pick an episode. I just want to listen to Paul and Francisco because they're such a awesome couple people, and whatever guest they have on is awesome.
Right.
I just want to listen to them. Let me turn on. Oh, okay, they're listening to Kitos talk about Star Fox 64, or they're listening to the Dapper Man talk about Speedy, or they're listening to Ashley Cronenberg talking about Howl's Moving Castle. Whatever it is, you just tune in, and we're just playing back to back to back the episodes of the podcast. So you can go there anytime and listen. It could be 1 in the morning. It could be 1 in the afternoon. And you can listen, get your fix of Retro Rewind podcast.
So Babo wants to know, we're doing every podcast episode live?
I mean, they're being replayed live.
Oh, we're not doing them live? Like
no,
24/7?
No, we're not doing them live 24/7.
I've got all this camping gear and food that lasts 40 years here. Oh, man.
Sorry, Paul. I'm sorry you misunderstood my email about this.
Oh,
no,
now I have to go work for a living.
Yeah. Oh, my. But really appreciate all of you who are an amazing group of people helping sustain the pod. I think I said that already, but it's still true.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for ways to get involved in growing this Retro Rewind endeavor, reach out to us on social media where we are at Retro Rewind Pod, pretty much everywhere. You could buy some of our merch. Go watch us live streaming replays of the show and talk to us. I try to be there a lot of the time in chat. So if you have a question about what you're listening to, like, why did you do it this way, Francisco? Feel free to chat. I may not be there, but
because we didn't know any better. That's the answer.
That's probably always the answer. Yeah. Or you could become a monthly patron. You could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, or you could just simply share your favorite episode of the podcast with a friend. Maybe you have a friend maybe you loved Fate of Atlantis and you had a friend who did, and you want to share this episode with them, or The Matrix, or whatever it is. We want to share the podcast so that more people can enjoy the content of the Retro Rewind Pod.
You've been listening to RetroRewindPodcast.com/232. Our review of the game, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, with me as your XO, PaulJPowers.com. You can find me and all my social media links at PaulJPowers.com.
All right.
Yes.
I got it right. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Thank you for being an amazing friend and fellow adventurer, Paul, and for another fun voyage.
Well, thank you for having me aboard.
Of course. I have been and continue to be captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz. Find me on Twitter at FXRetro_, especially if you need pixel artwork commissioned.
We are no longer honored to be part of the Christian Geek Central
Network.
Probably because Francisco played some bad words in our review of Air Force One during the preview there. That's probably why we got kicked out. But seriously. Captain, we are on final approach to base. Salvo authority has been granted. Bwahaha.
Thank you, XO. And thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful now than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for Conan the Barbarian, our next episode of the Retro Rewind Podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System? Oh, that's librarian. Sorry.
Wow. You know what, Paul? Do you ever feel like quitting in the middle of a quest?
Oh, yeah, especially playing this game. But you might be talking about young Indiana Jones!
Then it is something that man was not meant to disturb. Trust me.
Are you making
this up as you go along.
Yeah?
You don't believe me. You will, Dr. Jones.
Mission accomplished. Full throttle.
No break. Those people are trying to kill us. I know, Dad! It's a new experience for me. Happens to me all the time.
All right, guys. Yeah, it's time for another adventure of Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. That's the title, right, Paul?
No.
Dang it.
The Chronicles has the old guy, old Indy with the eye patch.
So this is the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones.
Correct.
No Chronicles.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
been spliced and redone, except for this chapter that we're on.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Then, so Paul, for this episode, this is chapter 18 that we
Correct.
reviewed, and this was the Treasure of the Peacock Eye, I believe is the title.
Peacock's Eye. Yes.
Peacock's Eye. Paul, why don't you give us a rundown of some of the technicals about this episode?
Okay, this was one of the few that was not touched at all from its original airing, which was actually back on the Family Channel when it was airing some of the episodes. It first aired back in January 15th of 1995.
Oh, okay.
So, Francisco, do you think you can give us a one-sentence synopsis of the plot of this?
Oh, yeah.
I was about to
totally.
say this chapter.
Yes. So, the beginning takes place at the end of World War I, and Indy and Remy find a map on this guy that dies to a great treasure, which is the Peacock's Eye, which ends up being the very treasure that Indy finds or gets at the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
So with Lao, that's when they exchange the antidote and the diamond. This is the Peacock's Eye.
Yeah,
the diamond,
exactly.
Lao.
Yes.
That one is all right.
How's that for one sense? I feel like that was decent. I mean,
although Lao
there's
never
a
came
lot
into
more
place into here, I was kind of hoping that they would hint at it. But
me too. I thought that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Remy, let's go eat at the Obi-Wan Cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah. But regardless, let's talk about the things that we liked. What's one thing you really liked about this episode of the Young Indiana Jones Adventures with the Chronicles?
All of us, just at once.
Kitos, let's start with you. And Kitos, remind me, have you ever watched any of these? I know we didn't watch them growing up, but have you watched any of these previously for the podcast?
Yeah, I watched.
Okay.
I guess it was like a dual feature
Oh,
episode.
he liked the comedy one.
Yeah, I like the one where he was trying to get the phone.
Yes.
He was trying to get the
yes.
phone, and he had to go fill out every paper ever.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have the paper because it was locked.
That's right.
And to get the key,
Yes.
they needed another paper. it was good.
Good, yeah. Good, quote unquote.
I was
that
laughing
one.
the whole time on that one.
All right, I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, you asked.
Yeah, no, okay. I did like this episode. It felt a lot more like Indiana Jones rather than the comedy episode that I saw before.
Mm-hmm.
This one felt very much like, the mystery, the figuring out, the traveling, the action, all of that stuff. It was all in there. So it very much felt like Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And in fact, that's what I was going to.
Gosh,
yeah.
Dang it.
Because of all the previous episodes we've done, this feels the most like Indiana Jones.
Absolutely.
If you were to say, "Oh, it's a TV series based on Indiana Jones," this episode is the culmination in my mind with like, "Oh, it's Indiana Jones, but on a lower quality TV budget."
Yeah, this is when you said it's a TV series based on the younger version of Indiana Jones. This is what you would expect. This is exactly what you would expect.
Yeah. It's not Indiana Jones what you like. It's a lesser quality, but it's
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not what we've been getting to this point.
Yes,
even though some people like bureaucracy, think that's very comedic.
That was good.
Yeah. So it has all the adventure. There's like the digging around, map looking. There's pirates, invasions. There's all sorts of love interests and all this stuff going.
Many elements, I was going to get into the thing I didn't like, but I really enjoyed that there are so many locations and that they were just trekking around.
They had the map quest following, the overview.
Map. They had the treasure, then they didn't have the treasure. It got taken away, which is very much a trope of Indiana Jones, where he has it for a little bit, then he loses it. And then gains it again. Yeah, there's exactly like what you guys are saying. So much to like about it. Yeah. But I mean, every diamond has its flaw, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. This one does too.
Every peacock has its eye. Wait, that doesn't make sense. So what didn't we like about this one? I'm going to go ahead and start. It's a burden on my soul.
A bird? Like a peacock?
Exactly.
Sorry,
yes. That's exactly what I was trying to say. I am that funny.
We're at war, peacock.
Casualties are inevitable. You cannot make an omelet without breaking eggs. Every cook will tell you that.
But look what happened to the cook. Sorry.
So that's any opportunity to quote Clue. I did not. Okay, it's kind of two things. I didn't like how it sort of fizzled out at the end. I felt like it's adventure, and then we don't really know.
Do you really want to do this? No, I'm going to quit right in the middle. That's what I didn't like about it. Yeah.
Well, did that happen at the middle? I didn't feel like it was
the middle of the quest. It's like, hey, we could be doing this for years. It's like,
yeah.
Well, what do you want to do afterwards? The same thing you want to do whether you get this or not. All right, sounds great. You have a plan. In the meantime, let's, find this or set a date. Okay, by this date, if we haven't got it, then I'm out. Rather than, okay, I'm out now.
Yeah.
Which,
but by the same token, they blew all this money.
Yeah.
Just for nothing, which was very sort of disheartening. I wish they came away with something other than just a rock with writing.
I assume Remy's continuing to look, oh man, throughout this whole, about halfway up, there were a lot of people dying in this, like a Miss Seymour.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers.
That was so sad. They didn't see Miss Seymour again. I mean, I don't think the actress had died because she had a voiceover there, but still, I was sad.
But the character... And so I was thinking, we don't see Remy in the movies. Does he die in this?
Oh,
so through some of these, it added a little more tension for me, which is good.
Yeah.
But spoilers, he makes it to the end. So I assume he continues on his ventures without Indy in search for the diamond.
Oh, see, I got the sense that he just was giving up and going back home. So
no, Indy did. Oh. But do you think Remy followed him? Well, it didn't explicitly say, at least from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you watch at certain speeds, you don't pick up on all the details.
Aha!
Wow.
I will say for the first half hour, I watched at 1x speed. So,
and you're like, this is slow and boring. This is the first time that I've actually enjoyed The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones more than what we reviewed before it.
Whoa. That's kind of high praise or very, very low praise.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Kitos, what's something you didn't like about this episode? Not enough Indy going to papers, finding papers for papers, right?
Not enough bureaucracy, red tape.
Honestly... I have a hard time coming up with a dislike for this episode.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
cool.
You know what? Here, all right, I'll throw in a bonus one.
Even the end, right? Wait, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even the end, right? You know how you say it fizzles out, right? And it's like, well, why does he make that choice and everything, right? If I look at it from the grand scale of things, like to Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? All this is like his emotional growing up. That allows him to let go of the Grail in the end. You know?
Oh, I could see that. That's
lame.
I think that's actually really. That's kind
of poignant.
Yeah, poignant.
In a way.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes.
Good
observation, Kitos.
Yeah, I saw that ending. I was like, because it switches pretty dramatically, and I thought so. I just reflected on it for a bit, and I was like, you know what? Yeah. It makes a lot of sense to who he grows up to become.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I really liked it.
Very cool.
It's hard for me to say a dislike other than, I don't know, maybe they went to too many locations. But
I was thinking
that's
too.
like
bounce around a lot.
Yeah.
That's like, and that's pushing it to say that's a dislike, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would have loved for them to spend more time in that jungle going toward that temple. I felt like that was a great setting right there to like maybe if they got lost or got stuck at night or something. I thought there could have been a lot more peril in that section. But
how about the lip syncing being off a little bit about the Asian woman who was the singer but turned out to be the pirate later talking like
that was the pirate? I didn't put two and two together with that.
Yeah, that was
she was. If you watch it at normal speed,
yeah, I know.
You might catch these things. She has a line in there like, "I'm not just here for entertainment, for your guys' entertainment," and that kind of thing.
Oh, cool. That's cool though. Okay, nice.
But as someone like Francisco who has been watching this series from the beginning, the best friend of Remy exited in kind of in a couple episodes later. It would have been a great dramatic story tool to introduce him in a cool way again, rather than just all of a sudden they're together on a train at the beginning, which is fine if you're just joining in like Keithos, like in the middle. This is a one-stop shop thing.
Yeah.
But for those who are on this series, watching the series, it's kind of like, okay, you kind of have a theme and kind of have little stories going on. Let's weave that back in, but in a cool way. Like,
it would have been so much cooler if like they just at least maybe they randomly find each other on the battlefield or something. It's like, oh my god!
Or he saves the day somehow, which is kind of Deus Ex Machina in a way, but it could have been cool.
It would be nice to give Remy a hero moment like that where he saves Indy. Yes, I totally get that.
Remy's missing hero moment. That's
I have a dislike. Speaking of
okay, here we go.
Here we go.
when he's pouring his drink or whatever and he spills it all over the map, that aggravated me so much. I was like, are you kidding? This is like the treasure you're going for, and you just spill your drink all over it, and they're all very nonchalant. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because that could have ruined the paper. It could have disintegrated it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Remy. It's in the script. It's fine.
That's my only major dislike.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you need that to see the code, what's written on the back, but still, that was like, oh my gosh.
That's a big what if. Like, what if the code is written and you need liquid to see it? Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad your clumsiness came in handy, Remy. Good job.
Yeah. Which is it can be a fun story point, especially if it happens in real life.
Yeah.
But it's also very frustrating as an audience to watch that happen like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right. So did you give your dislike, Paul? I feel like you did.
Yeah, it was basically yours. It fizzled out at the end.
Right. Well, then I guess, guys, given what we've seen either so far or with this episode, do we want to continue on watching Young Indiana Jones? If you didn't have to, me and Paul do. Or would you say, nah, I'm out. I'm quitting the quest early, much like Indy. So, Kitos, what would you seeing this inspire you to keep wanting to watch the show, or would you be like, nah, I'm done?
Yeah, this would definitely inspire me to watch more of the show. Like, if this is the only episode I'd ever seen, I'd be like, whoa, okay, they must have hit a home run with this show, because this is Indiana Jones. It really is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. How about you,
Yeah,
Paul?
I would too. I would, based on this, I would watch the next one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. This was,
although I would be kind of weary. Like, oh, the next one, he's like just going home. That sounds lame.
Oh, is that all it is?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But as the story progresses,
yeah. But I would very much be looking forward to the next episode after this one. Though all the previous ones have definitely embittered me toward or made me cynical about any possibility of it getting better. But
that's a good point. Possible. Don't get your hopes up.
Exactly.
Next episode is titled "Winds of Change."
Sounds very blowy.
Yeah. Well, it takes place in Paris and in Princeton. So
Let me try this again. Oh, this one's going to blow.
There we go.
Anyway, So awesome, guys. So it sounds like this would be a 1-2 watch if you're curious what the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles were like, or if you're curious what a good Young Indiana Jones Chronicles was like.
Compared to the others,
compared to the others. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you in another month for another episode of this. But until next time, for me, for Paul Farquitos, bid you all whoop-paw.